What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Probably the best card ever to come to Marvel Snap is officially live, and I say that with like zero exaggeration. Iron Lad is going to completely transform Marvel Snap and just burst wide open what deck building is. And last night, the first thing I did was just slot him into a bunch of decks that I thought were busted, and well, yeah, it worked. I tried Mr. Negative with Jane Thor, and yeah, pretty freaking amazing. It gave myself another shot to get not only Mr. Negative early, but also have 6 power on the board as well. Absolutely cracked. How about Rocks and Hawks, guys, right? I can confidently say a 4/6 Darkhawk is nuts, and or Devil Dinosaur. Something like Enchantress is no big deal because he still has 6 power. How about Galactus? Yep, that was pretty busted too. So what exactly does Iron Lad bring to the table, right? So he's going to copy the deck's top card. Now, right now, it's the most random it'll ever be. We're going to get Howard the Duck next week, and it can seem a bit random, but not really. You can make your deck designed to almost always get value out of this. Even if it's something like Korg or Iceman, it's going to be ridiculous. But on top of that, he's a 4/6. So if you Zabu him out there and he's just there to complement your deck and you don't get anything too crazy, right? Like, I don't know, She-Hulk, it doesn't matter. It's still 6 power and it's a decent tempo play. So let's look at all the cards that are going to synergize best with Iron Lad and just bust deck creation wide open. And let's start with On Reveal. Now, again, guys, I'm sure this is just the tip of the iceberg. I just kind of wanted to get the cogs turning in the brain. I'm sure there's much more reveal cards. You'll have cards with just good value overall, like White Tiger having a 6 power stat line and summoning a Spirit Tiger. And, of course, those cards that you want to play again because they are, after all, at the top of your deck. So things like Silver Surfer and Dr. Doom just work out really great. Also, just good value pulls like Magic on a potential turn 3 or 4 and not having to waste that turn 5 for Magic. And then you don't have to like, have that weird struggle of turn 6 and 7. You have a bit more time. And Iron Lad's going to have that 6 power. But also just having Odin for re-triggers of other on reveals in your deck. You have Mr. Negative with 6 power. And then, of course, like when you pull Mr. Negative next, he'll be a 0/4, right? So you probably don't want to play him till the last turn of the game, but you still have that free play. You have the Black Panther synergy. You can play Iron Lad and then have an Arnim Zola, and you can get like, what, a 24 Iron Lad in 2 locations. Heimdall multiple times, obviously Galactus, a lot of Shuris, and then Valkyrie for a potential 3-cost play. All of these are just kind of crazy when it comes to the overall potential. And again, On Reveal is extra crazy because, as we know with like Wong and Odin, there's some really nutty combos when you start to reactivate these effects a ton. However, guys, let's go and talk about ongoing, because this is where things can kind of get out of control, right? Any ongoing card naturally is typically going to have a low power amount, oftentimes 0, as you see here. So Null, Morbius, Darkhawk, Iron Man, obviously putting 6 power behind those cards is absolutely awesome. But even having the ability to have Onslaught's just enormous doubling effect and not having to play him, Patriot is going to be a natural home because one of the most effective ways to kind of mess up Iron Lad is putting rocks in your opponent's deck. But Iron Lad can maybe take effect of that, right, and become a non-ability card, and then Patriot can help him out. But at the same time, multiple Dr. Dooms, even more Patriots, Spirit Tigers. You know, Patriot and him are going to just have perfect synergy. An early play for like Professor X and Sandman is always pretty solid. And even Wong, right? You know, you top deck Wong, you can do multiple Wongs and then have some type of nutty Silver Surfer or, you know, Dr. Doom on top of that. So there's some really creative, crazy combos that can happen. So you can make these decks kind of designed like Lockjaw decks to always have that efficient pull, and Iron Lad's usually getting a nice ability. Now, outside of like On Reveal and Ongoing, these are just some other cards that work really cool. A bit more niche, right? But having Human Torch, Adam Warlock with 6 power and getting that nice dependable card draw. You have things like Bishop that you can add to Iron Lad's initial power. And then when you can get like Deadpool and Swarm and trying to get that interaction going and having, I don't know, Swarm, being able to get him back to your hand and then you discard it with MODOK. Yeah, again, these are really hard to pull off with something like Swarm. But if it happens, that means you get 2 0-cost Iron Lads, right? So there are some kind of wonky things out there that you can do. Jeff the Shark, having Iron Lad be able to move to anything, like any Professor X or Space Throne, is super advantageous. You have awesome cards like Vision, where you can have this 3-cost, 4-cost card being able to move wherever, just confusing your opponent that much more. And I think Nimrod as well and him have extreme potential. If you play Iron Lad, then Nimrod, and then Destroyer, you're just going to have Nimrod/Lads freaking everywhere. Now, lastly, as far as just pure card synergy, these are kind of like the core synergy cards. Now, you have Howard the Duck that isn't out yet, but obviously being able to see what's at the top of your deck is going to be super advantageous throughout the battle, but even more so when you know what Iron Lad is going to copy. He is going to kind of be the key to make him more consistent and less RNG dependent, really allowing decks to be more creative because you don't have to pigeonhole and make sure most of the cards take advantage of having Iron Lad play it. Now, Jubilee is awesome for just deck thinning, and then clearly he's a 4-cost card, so Zabu is great. And even if he copies Zabu, you're going to have other 4-costs in your hand, and you can now have those cards play for 2 energy, and just like Sarah, you can get some massive discounts going on. And really, like, that's where Iron Lad's going to work best, right? It's these cards with amazing abilities that are typically associated with a low power amount, and Iron Lad just, like, doesn't care, right? But on top of that, he's going to help out archetypes that need a bit more consistency or cards to activate it, right? So, for example, like movement, right? Like getting a copy of Heimdall is awesome because you can play him for dirt cheap. And then if you need to use Heimdall again, obviously that's great for movement cards. But in those decks, you know, if Iron Lad was going to copy something like Human Torch, when this moves double its power, well, I think you can do the math. That's probably going to be pretty insane. And so that's where, like, the deck potential is just going to be out of this world, and why he's probably a card you should get sooner rather than later. Which leads me to probably something that everybody's going to ask. Should you get Iron Lad now, or should you get High Evolutionary? And this is a bit of a tough question because obviously High Evolutionary is a big bad, and so he's never going to depreciate. And Iron Lad is still very fresh. We really need to get used to how he works. And so I don't have a clear-cut answer. I do think he's one of those cards you're not going to regret having, and it all depends on what kind of snap you want to play. Also, High Evolutionary is going to activate a bunch of cards you already have. And Iron Lad's going to do the same, but into a smaller degree. So I would be hesitant to recommend either way. It depends on how you are and how much you spend and tokens you have. But Iron Lad's a good card if that's what you want to know. But as far as like a safe investment, it's probably High Evolutionary because it doesn't dip in value if you can only afford one. Now, of course, I couldn't leave you guys without a couple of decks. I'm going to have a lot more in the future. I might have a whole video dedicated towards it. But essentially, guys, like the best way to describe Iron Lad outside of just enabling all the combos and things we talked about is he's like White Queen. He's a good card, but I think a bit more versatile. So at the end of the day, you can plug him in, you can use him a lot, and you can also use him to kind of make decks more consistent. In regards to the decks, it's the ones that I kind of talked about on the intro, but things like Rocks and Hawks, right? Like immediately, you're just going to have a card that if he does happen to copy Darkhawk or Devil Dinosaur, or even slotting in Doctor Doom here, you're immediately going to have such a solid Rocks and Hawks deck, and you can still work out the things like Agent Coulson, and even if he pulls something like Korg or Quinjet, he has great stats to back it up. But how about if we just throw him into what is called right now the best deck in the game, right? I like to call it Stat Lad. Now, what I like to do is I made this a bit more customized. I took out some cards like Miles, let's say, because, you know, you don't want Iron Lad to copy Miles and Stature and even Shang-Chi. You don't know what's on the top deck, and so sometimes you want it to be a bit more consistent. And so this is kind of the build that I think might be one of the best decks out there for Iron Lad, and I'm definitely going to be testing this a lot today. And then lastly, this is the fun build. I'm still working on it. It definitely just chaos here, but I have this kind of Jane Foster negative deck, and you know, yes, you are adding Mr. Negative as a negative draw card that you have, but you're able to get him out there very quickly. You can still do it on turn 3. It also works with Zabu, and then you can start to kind of pair it up with things like Adam Warlock or other cards that might work well together. I can at least speak for when I played this deck last night. It felt way more consistent than the other times when I was playing the deck. So it's that time of the video, guys. Let's give a 1 through 5 star rating. What do I rank Iron Lad? And we're going to save time. This is an easy 5-star, guys, right? Like, outside of his ability, having 6 power, it just seems kind of insane, and I think he's really going to open up theory crafting and deck building potential. What's also great about him is he's kind of timeless, right? He's going to work and have interactions with any card that comes out in Snap. And so that means he's always going to be of value in some sort or degree. Even, I don't know if they will, but even if they were to bring back his power, it doesn't really matter. He's in a 4-cost slot. He's going to work with Zabu. You can play him on 3, and that helps enable so many decks like Mr. Negative and all the ones we've already talked about. So there you go, guys. That's my initial impressions on what I think is probably one of, if not the best, single card in Marvel Snap to what he is going to bring to the table. Now, again, we are just getting started. This month is going to be nuts. High Evolutionary. We still have some good cards to come. But guys, you can expect a lot of fun, wacky, crazy gameplay. I just wanted to get something out there to show you guys and tell you my opinions after playing them a full night. I barely got any sleep, partially because it was just fun to play them, but also I had to get this video out for you guys. If you enjoyed it and you keep on coming back here, go ahead and support by clicking the subscribe button down below. We're on the way to 100,000 subs by June is the goal. And as always, guys, until the next one, happy snapping.